Not everybody loves the percolator, but today we're going to look at one of, I would say, arguably the best coffee makers available. It's simple, it's beautiful, and it consistently makes a really, really good cup of coffee. One of the things that's unique about it is the special filters that it uses. These filters are you don't have to use one of these, but Chemex makes the filters for them. They are, I believe that they have a patent on the process by which they're made, and they filter out everything. So, as we've noted, there's sediment in some of the other coffees, oils in some of the other coffees. There is no sediment, there is no oil, there is only that pure coffee flavor. Now, Chemex enthusiasts will say that's the way coffee should be. Others will say the oils do something. The oils add flavor to the coffee that's preferable. So, not everybody loves this, but this is certainly one of the more well-respected forms of coffee making that I have. As we see here, I've got two different sorts of filters. Today we're going to use the paper filter. My producer got me one of these reusable cone filters that will not filter out the oil and everything else. I think in a later video, I'm going to have a side-by-side taste test of these two. I actually have two of these Chemex coffee makers. The other one's much larger, and I purchased it on eBay, I think, and it has some sediment or hard water stains in the bottom that I've never been able to get off. So this one's pristine and beautiful, and so this is the one we're going to use today. As you can see, the Chemex coffee filter, this is one of their square folded coffee filters, and it can be used in any of their coffee makers, the various sizes. It's simply a large piece of relatively thick paper that gets folded over and put in the top. As I said, it is super simple. There's a wooden collar to keep your hands from burning when you're pouring the coffee. There's a slight bump there which lets you know what the halfway point is. So this is a 6-cup coffee maker. If you wanted to only make 3 cups, that's the halfway point with that bump. The leather and wooden knob simply is there for decoration and to keep the collar on. And there's a pour spout to allow you to pour it gently. Very simple. The design is elegant and is in the permanent collection at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. It really is beyond reproach. One of the things that I often have trouble with this coffee maker is that knowing how much water to use. If you just simply pour it from a kettle, I'm never quite sure exactly how much water will get me to here, because it takes a while for the coffee to filter down through the grounds. In this case, I filled it up to here with water and then poured that in my tea kettle and put that on the stove. So, for the sake of how long it will take to make coffee with the Chemex, I started timing the process when I put the water on the stove with the kettle. If you wanted to use the Chemex coffee maker without needing to supervise the whole brewing process, you can use this under the GE coffee maker that I have, which works really well. Now, in my reviews, I've discovered that it doesn't heat the water quite as hot. Obviously, we're going to be using water that is on the closer to boiling end of the spectrum, probably in the 200 degree range, so that it should have a fuller extraction from the coffee beans than you would get under the drip coffee maker that I've used it with before. You might be able to hear the water boiling in the background. I rinsed the filter. I'm not sure I'm going to do that again unless it's amazing. It was kind of a bit of a hassle to put it all back together. I've got coffee grounds in there. We're just waiting on the coffee to boil, or the water to boil, and we will start brewing. The water is about 205 degrees, a little bit less by now, I'm sure. So you have to pour it over. This is, again, a pour over. It's actually the only pour over that I've got. And you can't pour too much of it in at one time because, of course, it will overflow. So it is a bit of a process. It's a bit of a ritual. But, you know, right away it is making the coffee, filtering down. The water has cooled down after I took it off the stove. It's now at 189 degrees, so it's still very hot, hotter than any of the percolators or the automatic drip produces it, but it definitely isn't in the high range that it was, that I've been informed I should have it in. Just about finished. You can see it's still dripping out, but I think we're going to call that done. Now, when you're done, sometimes I leave the filter in the top to help keep the coffee warmer for longer. Obviously, there's no thermal carafe. It is just a single layer of the glass, and it'll cool down relatively quickly. Obviously, you could put it in something to keep it warmer, or you could just drink it, which is a fine idea. Or you could, and I think my other Chemex was, somebody did this with it, put it on low heat on the stove. I would not recommend that. Again, the water deposits might, if you have hard water, let's say, calcium deposits might bake onto the bottom of the glass, which is what happened with my other one. I don't know if you can see it, but what you're looking at is absolutely no oil on the top of that coffee. And I would be willing to bet there will be absolutely no sediment in the bottom of the cup when we get there. The coffee is crisp, it's clean, it is light and dances around on your tongue the way in which it doesn't from the percolator or even the automatic drip. It's clearly not burnt or carrying with it any other hints of anything else. This really is a fantastic way to make coffee. And if you don't cherish the oils or the thickness that you can get from other forms of making coffee, it's really phenomenal and quite distinct from other methods. Now, most of that comes from the filter, right? You can use the filter in a different pour over, or even in your automatic drip, and it will produce similar results. Again, no other pour over is as beautiful as this. No other coffee maker is as beautiful as this. I can talk about the whimsy of the percolators, and they're beautiful in their own way, but hands down, this is the prettiest coffee maker I own. It's sleek, it's elegant, and it makes great coffee.